Guys, what's up? Today's my review for Grave Encounters 2. It took me a little while, but I got it nonetheless. So, Grave Encounters 2, it's the sequel to 2011's Grave Encounters. Imagine that. And basically, if you don't know what Grave Encounters is, the original one is a group of paranormal hunters, like these shows you see on TV, Ghost Hunters, all this stuff. They wind up going into this asylum. It's all POV, handheld, found footage, whatever you want to call it. And they go into, ghost hunt at this insane asylum, and, shit happens. They all wind up getting caught in the asylum. Really good original film, great stuff. So that brings us to Grave Encounters 2. And, obviously they rushed the sequel out. It's only a year later. The original one was done by the Vicious Brothers, written and directed. This one's just written by the Vicious Brothers. So what I think about Grave Encounters 2, let me tell you about a little bit about the story first. So this one has sort of like a meta feel to it because it's also handheld, found footage style. But what it is, it starts off with these YouTube movie reviews, and then it leads into the main character doing his YouTube movie review. And it's pretty good the way they did that. I like that. So he winds up doing his YouTube review of Grave Encounters. He hates it. And he winds up getting these weird messages, replies, videos, and stuff on his YouTube account. So he winds up investigating the movie, and what made it kind of realistic was he's in film school, so that's why he always has a camera around. That's why he's doing movie reviews, and he gets basically obsessed with the Grave Encounters movie, and he wants to find out if it's real. So he winds up going to the same asylum. He goes to the asylum from the first movie to basically find out if the movie's real, and of course from there all hell breaks loose, and you have your Grave Encounters 2. Okay, so what did I like about the movie? Like I said, they did the YouTube movie reviews. Of course, I'm going to like that. That's kind of funny since I'm involved with that. It actually has a couple of guys that are subscribed to my channel, and I'm subscribed to theirs. You have Media World 01, Andrew from there. He's on the movie. And Jay and Mike from We Watched the Movie. They also have clips on there. So that was kind of cool. Of course, that made the movie a lot more interesting. And Sean Phillips, Cool Duder, is on there also. That was cool. So I like the meta setup where it's the YouTube guy and he gets brought into the world of like the original horror movie. That was cool. He's, a film student, so like I said, that gives a good excuse to have the handy cams all the time. And of course, the elements of the original movie that, since it's a sequel, they combined into this one. I liked all those elements. But there is a few problems. What I didn't like about it was that, first of all, it took 45 minutes to get to the asylum. Granted, you're finding out more about the original movie, the kid's looking into it, he's kind of looking around, but that part wasn't really very interesting. I didn't think it was, at least. He gets these teasers online from, anonymous sources, and then he tries to do this and that. I don't want to ruin too much for you, but it took 45 minutes, which is basically half the movie, to get to the asylum. And then once the scares start, they're the same as the first movie, but this one didn't have as many scares. And the one really thing I was just thinking about right now was, what lacked about this film was the original one was set up on the Ghost Hunter type theory where they go into this one, and the main character of the Ghost Hunter, was like that Zach Baggins guy, so he's a douchebag. So you really wanted to see him get his, and he did the whole Zach Baggins thing, what made it kind of funny. This one doesn't really have that. I mean, there are some characters from the original one that are in this movie. Like I said, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it just didn't have that. I like the premise of the first one where it's based on one of those shows. This one didn't have that. It's a sequel. It pushes the story a little bit farther. I would have liked to know more about the doctor running the asylum than we found in the first one. And this one, at the end, they kind of get a little out there. And the ending's okay. I mean, some people are going to like it. I really didn't care for it. I thought, when you start getting into transdimensional stuff, and it's good, but at the same time, it's just, way too over the top. And they really didn't explain. I wanted to know more of the history of the actual asylum and the doctor and what kind of magic he was actually practicing and stuff. They really didn't go into any of that. Of course, it would be hard to explain. So that was meh. The ending I didn't really like. And like I said, 45 minutes to get to the asylum, and not as many scares as the original. All the scares are the same type of scares, but there's nothing, for the first 45 minutes. Another thing I did like, let me say that, was they do have like a little parody of a couple different types of horror movies. Like they have one of the Saw movies, because the kid's a filmmaker and he's actually working on another movie when, he gets obsessed with Grave Encounters. That part was okay. So besides that, Grave Encounters 2, it's good for the Halloween season, I would say that. Not as good as the original. I'm still going to give it 3 out of 5 stars, though, because I think a lot of people are going to think different than me. Because overall, it's still better than the average film. But 3 out of 5, not as solid a 3 out of 5 as I gave the first movie. This is the first movie I gave 3 out of 5. Not quite as good of a 3 out of 5, but I don't know. It didn't really do it for me like the first movie did. I was really excited after I saw the first one. This one I was a little eh. And if I was looking at the clock to see how long they got to the asylum, that's probably a bad sign. All right, guys, take it easy.